Hello everybody, this is Marty from Marty's Moccasins and Things. You can find me on Facebook. Welcome. Today we are going to discuss working the wire. The wire works in predictable ways. Basically, you're going to have pressure points. There's always going to be at least 2 pressure points. And the wire is always going to be predictable in what you do with those 2 pressure points and your movement. This wire is dead soft, so it is very, very easy to bend. And it is also, if I can find it, pretty easy to put back together again and straighten it out with your fingers or your nylon pliers, whichever you prefer. When you have a piece of wire, this one is about 2 feet long, and you bring the ends together, it is always going to make a loop. When we make our bail, we have our 2 pressure points. We have the pressure point of the pliers, the pressure point of where you're grabbing the wire, and then movement. And it will hit the camera. Operate in a predictable way. So you are never going to move it to the left. And I just lost my light. Hang on just a second. Somehow the plug fell out of the wall. Is that the right one? There we go. All right. So when you're making your circle for your bail, now here you have another pressure point. You're going to hold this together. And when you do your twists, your pressure point is between your fingers. And then there's the movement. So basically, when you are wire wrapping, let's see if both of those will go in there. They do. That's good. This is a piece of Imperial Jasper. Figure out which way we want it to face. I think that side's prettier. Don't want it to be quite all the way down in there. Okay, so basically you're going to have swirls. You're going to have loops. You're going to have curves. You're going to have bends. So here, pressure point is made by the stone. Let's wiggle that back up out of there. And your finger and your movement brings your wire up onto your stone face. All right. So you're going to be using your thumb to make your pressure point. Your hand up here will make your other pressure point and the movement. We're going to make a little spiral here. You can change hands as it becomes necessary, or you can spin the whole stone, whichever you prefer. You can make your spirals tight. You can make them loose, whichever you prefer. And there's our little spiral. Starts out kind of big, but that's all right. Now, at this point, you want to get your spiral, you want your curve to go all the way through, follow through, I guess you could say, because now you're going to be doing something else. Don't know what yet, but you're going to be doing something else. You're either going to be bringing this around behind the stone, or you're going to maybe make a loop. Pressure point with your thumb, movement, pressure point with your fingers, holding the wire, and this can go smaller just by a tug. At that point, your pressure point is inside this circle. And then you want to follow through because it just looks better when the circle follows through, I think. It's up to you. It's your piece, your art. So there's a swirl, there's a loop. Here comes a curve. You want to over curve. in order to get your wire to go in the direction that you want, because you can always stretch out your curve or tighten it up by using pressure and movement. A little bit of pressure, a little bit of movement. See, now that's gone a little farther than I want. I kind of like that. So there we go. Then we start our scarf. And just that quick, we did a swirl, a loop, and a curve, and we've got a pretty little piece of jewelry. Now all we got to do is finish up here. The pressure point is here where the bail is and where your fingers are, and you're just bending it around. Now I want this. I want this to be that way. There we go. So now, get my cutters, trim that little piece off as I showed you in the other videos, holding onto your wire so it doesn't go flying around. And we're just going to tuck this one down in there. As you can see, this one got a little wonky. So we're just pulling back a little bit and go again. And that one got a little wonky too when I did my twist. Like I said, you just bend it back a little bit, a little more pressure, a little more movement. Sometimes you got to straighten it out a little bit to get it where you want it to go. There we go. That one goes there. That one goes all the way around there. Use my little tool to pop it in here. And we tuck it down in. Now with this wire being soft like this, most people can easily manipulate it to get the desired effects. If you have carpal tunnel or bad arthritis or weak hands due to some other malady, you may have a problem with using wire for your art. Tuck you down out of the way. Down in the bowl like that. He got a little out of bounds, so I'm going to squish him a little. Adjust my loops a little to get them even. All of this comes with practice. So now we've got a nice necklace. Just your bail so that it's standing straight up. There's a nice necklace, and we did it in 8 minutes. So with just a swirl, a loop, and a curve. That's all it takes. And we have another piece here. This is also Imperial Jasper. It's a smaller, wonky sized one. It is drilled. It's drilled right there. So I'll show you what you can do with one that's drilled across the top. Maybe. Just trying to figure out which way I want the stone to be. I think we'll go with it that way. And we're going to use vintage bronze, 20 gauge. We're going to want, I'm going to do it that way, 20 inches or so. I don't measure my wire usually. It's not fun when you come up short and you find out that you wanted to do more than you actually could, or you did more than you actually could and you come up short. It is very annoying. But since I use different size stones, I use different shaped stones, it's kind of hard to be consistent with exactly how long of a piece of wire I'm going to need for each stone. That, and I do freestyle wire wrapping, which means I just looked at this stone. I picked it out earlier to use on this video, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it until I actually start doing something with it. So we're making our bail, doing our twists. I've got videos on these. If I'm going too fast for you on the bail, look at my simple bail video, and my wire twisting video is on, talking about wire twisting is on the video about bail alternatives, I believe. Now, while this one was supposedly drilled across the top, it now becomes drilled across the bottom because I didn't like the top part, and I don't like the holes being visible from the front. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover up that hole. It's a pretty big sized hole, so I'm going to run a loop there. If I can hold it. Sometimes things get rocky until you get things going. This is not wanting to go in any direction I want it to. So some pressure, bend it over a little bit, make it do what you want it to do. Come on, you. Fine. We'll take you this way, and we'll lock you down there. Then we'll do the loop. Sometimes you got to change direction. Doesn't want to cooperate in one way, and you just can't manipulate it. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. I don't want those wires overlapping. That's something you don't want to do if you're using double wires. You don't want them to climb on top of each other. Unless you do. I mean, it's a look. I prefer mine to stay laying where they're supposed to be, right side by side, for my particular form. Now I'm going to take this around to the back, and here's why I did this stone. All right, it's all wobbly, it's all wonky. I'm not using a hole. My bail is all over the place. If you go behind your stone and bring it across there, find a little nook to go into, which I'm going to use this one down here. Now the bail has a brace on it. So now it's not just flopping around back here. If you are not using a hole, your bail is going to be freestanding, free flying until you lock it down. And that brace will help keep it coming away from the stone. See, now my stone is locked in there. There's a brace across the bail, so it's not moving. I've also, by wrapping it from the front like that, have got it braced there. It is solid. It's not really moving. But my loop moved, so I got to do a little pushing. All right, so now I've got it about the way I want it. My bail is not in the middle anymore, but that can be fixed as well because I have a little bit of leeway here. You're on the back, so it's not that huge a deal. Just push it a little. Now it's kind of back in the middle. Not exactly, but that's okay too. Look at that. I crossed my wires after telling you not to. I did. Well, I guess that's the look we're going for on this one, but I would prefer it to be back here if I'm going to cross them. So let's see if we can't maneuver it with pressure and movement. There we go. See, now it's crossed in the back, which nobody sees, nobody cares. I don't anyway. Like I said, if you want to cross your wires, you can. Dropped it. So here we go. Goodbye.